Have you ever wondered what would actually happen if $1 million suddenly appeared in your bank account tomorrow? Not in a movie. Not in a motivational speech. Not in a social media post where someone rents a Lamborghini for a weekend and calls it financial freedom. Real life. A real bank account. A real $1 million. Most people think they already know the answer. They imagine quitting work, buying a bigger house, paying cash for a luxury car, taking the vacation they've postponed for years, helping family, upgrading everything. And honestly, those reactions make perfect sense. Because for most of our lives, we are taught that money solves money problems. So naturally, when people imagine having a lot of money, they imagine removing every financial inconvenience from their lives. But here's the uncomfortable reality. The moment many people become millionaires is often the exact moment they begin making the financial decisions that eventually stop them from staying millionaires. And that's not because they are stupid. It's because nobody teaches them what $1 million actually means in today's world. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine a 35-year-old professional living somewhere in the United States. Maybe Chicago. Maybe Dallas. Maybe Atlanta. They earn around $95,000 a year. After taxes, healthcare deductions, retirement contributions, and other expenses, they bring home roughly $5,500 per month. Every month looks familiar. Rent or mortgage, $2,000. Car payment, $550. Insurance, $180. Utilities and internet, $250. Food, $700. Student loans, $300. Credit card payments, $250. A few subscriptions. Some weekend spending. Maybe a short vacation every year. Nothing extravagant. Nothing reckless. Just normal middle-class life. Like millions of people. Then suddenly, something changes. Perhaps they inherit money. Perhaps they sell a business. Perhaps they receive stock compensation that explodes in value. However it happens, their net worth crosses $1 million. For years, they dreamed about this moment. But within months, something interesting starts happening. The house no longer feels good enough. The car suddenly feels old. The neighborhood feels average. Friends begin talking differently. Family expectations change. Social pressure quietly appears. And without realizing it, they begin spending based on identity rather than necessity. This is where the first major mistake begins. Because most people don't understand the difference between being worth $1 million and having $1 million available to spend. Those are two completely different realities. Let's say someone receives exactly $1 million in cash. The emotional brain immediately sees $1 million. The rational brain should see something very different. The rational brain should ask a question. What does this money need to do for the next 30 years? Because once we ask that question, the math changes dramatically. Imagine spending $200,000 on a larger home upgrade. Another $80,000 on a luxury vehicle. Maybe $50,000 on renovations. A few expensive vacations. Helping relatives financially. Some lifestyle upgrades that seem harmless individually. Within a surprisingly short period of time, that $1 million becomes $600,000. Then $500,000. Then $400,000. And here's the dangerous part. The lifestyle expenses remain long after the excitement disappears. A bigger house creates bigger property taxes. More maintenance. Higher insurance costs. Higher utility bills. Luxury cars require luxury repairs. The purchases end. The expenses don't. Most people focus on the purchase price. Financially intelligent people focus on the lifetime cost. And that distinction changes everything. Because wealth is not destroyed by one giant decision. It's usually destroyed by dozens of small decisions that permanently increase monthly expenses. This happens because of a psychological phenomenon called lifestyle adaptation. Humans are incredibly good at adjusting to new circumstances. The dream apartment becomes normal. The luxury vehicle becomes normal. The upgraded lifestyle becomes normal. What once felt extraordinary becomes expected. And when expectations rise, satisfaction often disappears faster than people imagine. That's why someone earning $50,000 dreams about making $100,000. Then someone earning $100,000 dreams about making $200,000. Then someone earning $200,000 dreams about making $500,000. The target moves. The feeling doesn't. Because the problem was never the number. The problem was assuming the number would permanently change how life feels. Now let's take a different perspective. Imagine two people who both reach a net worth of $1 million. Person A sees the $1 million as permission. Permission to spend. Permission to upgrade. Permission to prove success. Person B sees the $1 million as responsibility. Responsibility to protect future freedom. Responsibility to reduce financial dependence. Responsibility to create options. The outcomes begin separating almost immediately. Person A starts asking, "What can I buy?" Person B starts asking, "What can this money buy for me every year without disappearing?" That single difference in thinking creates an entirely different future. Because financially intelligent people understand something most people overlook. Money itself is not the goal. Control over time is the goal. Think about it. What do people really want when they say they want $1 million? They don't actually want a number on a screen. They want less stress. More choices. More flexibility. More freedom. More control over their schedule. And yet many people spend their $1 million in ways that reduce those exact benefits. Instead of buying freedom, they buy obligations. Instead of reducing pressure, they increase pressure. Instead of creating options, they create maintenance. The irony is almost invisible while it's happening. And that's why so many lottery winners, athletes, entertainers, and sudden wealth recipients eventually face financial difficulties. The problem isn't always a lack of income. The problem is a misunderstanding of wealth. Wealth isn't what you spend. Wealth is what remains working for you after spending. Let's use some very simple math. Imagine $1 million invested conservatively. Without touching the principal, it might generate meaningful annual income over time. Nothing flashy. Nothing magical. Just steady financial support. Now compare that to spending $500,000 on lifestyle upgrades. The future earning power of that money immediately shrinks. Not because markets changed. Not because the economy collapsed. Simply because the asset disappeared. Every dollar spent is no longer capable of producing future income. And that's a concept most people underestimate. When people become wealthy, they often focus on what money can buy today. Financially intelligent people focus on what money could continue producing tomorrow. That's why many truly wealthy individuals often appear surprisingly ordinary. Not because they can't afford more. Because they understand the trade-off. Every major purchase has a hidden price. Not just the sticker price. The future opportunities that money could have created instead. This doesn't mean never enjoying life. It doesn't mean living in fear. It doesn't mean refusing every upgrade. It simply means understanding the difference between consumption and freedom. Because $1 million is significant. But it is not infinite. Especially in modern America and Europe. Especially with inflation. Especially over multiple decades. Especially if retirement is still years away. That's why the smartest thing to do the moment you hit $1 million isn't rushing to celebrate. It isn't rushing to upgrade. It isn't rushing to prove anything. It's pausing. For a moment. Long enough to understand what that money actually represents. Not status. Not validation. Not proof that you've won. But a rare opportunity to create choices that most people never get. The people who keep their wealth usually understand this. The people who lose it often don't. And the difference isn't intelligence. It's perspective. Because the moment you reach $1 million, the most important decision isn't how much you can spend. It's deciding what kind of future that money is supposed to build. If you found this perspective useful, consider subscribing for more calm, reality-based discussions about money, wealth, and financial decision-making.